Meet Wilton O'Cleary. Willie, as he prefers to be called, is a recently retired jack-of-all-trades. He is also an unlikely candidate to become Steelhead Idaho's next meta-hero. Despite all the extra time on his hands these days, it wasn't until he was ready to head out the door to his weekly gaming session that Willie realized his dice bag was not where it belonged.
Where is it? Come on, where you hiding? Ugh. Willie, you're old enough to be creaky and cranky, but you ain't old enough that you should be forgetting stuff. Where'd you put it? You'd think that owning this many dice you'd be able to find a bag of dice. Ah, the belt from last month's con. Sometimes being a dice goblin has its advantages. Well, I reckon that 3 sets of dice are better than none. To the shed. Aha. Looks like you're going to be fashionably late. Oh well, when have you ever known a role-playing session where everyone showed up on time?
Willie sighs as he realizes he has no place to store his flat cap. With some reluctance, he leaves it on the shelf and hops on his ATV. He's running late, so the somewhat slower scooter he refers to as his geetabout is out of the question. Meaning the helmet is not an option in Willie's mind. Willie takes the short drive from his trailer park to the Steelhead Library's activity room. Suddenly, an oversized pickup, reinforced with a homemade roll cage and push bars, comes squealing into the parking lot.
Hey dude, are you heading into the Geek Fest?
Hey, hoss, why would you think a thing like that?
Well, your helmet looks like a starfighter pilot, and your belt looks like it came off any bad B-fantasy movie I've ever seen. The rest of your outfit just looks like an old geek. Not to mention you're at a closed library on a Sunday afternoon.
Well, I reckon if the shoe fits, I might as well wear it. Why do you ask?
Out hops a giant of a man, some 6 feet 3 inches. Willie has a hard time deciding whether he looks more like a biker or a goth. The old man shrugs. He learned a long time ago not to judge a book by its cover. Or, as his late wife used to say, labels belong on canned goods, not on people.
Just checking on a buddy of mine. He said he'd call me when he got back from camping this morning, and I haven't heard from him. I know he promised his sister that he'd have her here in time to play today. Since those two just lost their folks, I'm just a little worried about my man.
Yeah. Tia mentioned to us in chat that she lost her folks and her brother was going to be taking care of her. It's a real shame about losing a parent so young. That young man's really gonna have his hands full. But he's lucky to have such a good kid for a sister. I'm running a little late. She's usually here by now. Why don't we go see?
Sounds good, dude. Hey, sorry about the geek crack.
40 or 50 years ago, it would have bothered me. One of the benefits of old age is becoming comfortable in your own skin. I've flown my nerd flag with pride for a coon's age now, long before it come into fashion.
G'day, Willie. Did you bring us a new player by chance? I was starting to think it was going to be a bust this week. Of course I know. Where gamers are concerned, when it comes to crastinating, they're pros.
Oh no, not me, dude. I avoid geek stuff like the plague. Give me lumberjackin', handymannin', river raftin', or just about anything they show on the X Games. I was just here to check on Randy Ways or his sister.
He means Little Tia. This is Merle, our esteemed game master. And this is... Actually, I don't think I caught your name. I'm Willie O'Cleary.
Name's Cliff. Cliff Driver. I suppose I'm gonna go look for my man.
Why don't you give it a few minutes? Merle's right. Gamers are notoriously late.
In that case, dudes, I'm gonna head to the John and clean up a bit. Had a few brewskis last night and figured it'd be smarter to sleep in the truck. No DUIs while I'm around.
The two older men's appreciation for their new acquaintance raised just a bit.
Well, Is there anything new and exciting in Merle's world? I'd ask if there was anything old and boring, but you'd just say us.
Yes, well, I do have a bit of bad news. When I got here, there was a note taped to the door stating that the brothers were heading back east for summer vacation. On the good news front, however, I did find this. You left it last week, so I took it home with me.
There you are, my beauties. I've got quite the mess to clean up when I get home. I tore the house apart looking for these. Finally remembered where I had some spares.
I thought you said that you were bringing a new player this week. What happened?
I thought I'd twisted my neighbor, Marge's, arm into trying out our little form of entertainment, but she weaseled out at the last minute. I've played chess and poker with her. Ain't never seen a better strategist. She'd be so good at this if she'd just give role-playing a try.
Oh, I know that one. You might as well give up on convincing her. Any form of entertainment that takes more than a few minutes, Margaret, is never going to have time for. You can always concede in chess or cash out at the end of a hand of poker. My only question about Margaret is how she ever found time to hold down a job in the first place. That woman makes a beaver look like a lazy bum even now.
A few moments later, Cliff returns to the room. Both of the older gentlemen are surprised at the transformation. Gone is the helmet, spiked collar, and makeup. Cliff's leather vest has been replaced by a muscle shirt, which he must have had in his truck. Willie is quite surprised to realize that the young man has even less hair on top of his head than Willie himself. After several moments, the idle conversation between the three is interrupted by the click of the door. A dark-skinned, dark-haired woman entered the room, wearing a cowboy hat, tube top, and a vest. Under normal circumstances, the first thing one would notice about her would be her broad shoulders and bulging muscles. Today, though, it was the black eye and the bruises covering her body.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm sorry to say, my husband won't make it today. Merle, you've got to get a phone. It is the 21st century, you know, whether you like it or not.
Man, I hope you got the license plate number of that truck that hit you.
Actually, it was a Ram. And no, not a pickup truck, a Rocky Mountain Bighorn. The animal broadsided our SUV when we were coming into town. We had some shopping to do, and we're going to grab a bite of lunch before you guys started your game. Next thing I know, wham! It broadsided us when we were doing 65 miles an hour down the highway. It was so fast. All I saw was horns before the front tire exploded, and we rolled down the hill into the river.
Wow. It's one of trade-offs we make living in the middle of nowhere. Don't gotta worry about muggers and drive-by shootings. But I know a couple of guys who make a full-time living out of bodywork. Mostly repairing damage from cows and deer.
Yep, them critters'll get you. No doubt about it. But back to more important stuff. How serious is he?
The EMTs had to revive him. They thought that they were going to have to send him out on a life flight helicopter. Luckily, they stabilized him on the way to the hospital. He's burned pretty badly and has several broken bones. He was thrown out when we rolled, and the SUV landed on top of him. He would have been burned much worse, but most of him was pinned underwater. I had to roll the car off of him, so he didn't either drown or burn to death.
Sounds like you're both lucky to be alive. Life is so fragile at times. What was this you wanted to show us?
Benita throws a clipboard with a bloodied piece of paper down on the table. There are several words scrawled in a nearly illegible hand.
I thought that this line might say Merle. I can't make heads or tails out of the rest of it. Why would a man who had just returned from the dead be in such a hurry to get you a note that he refused to get in the ambulance until he wrote this down, and I promised to bring it right to you? Can you make out what it says? Evidently, what they say about doctors' handwriting extends to scientists as well.
Before I tell you what I think it says, let's see what these two can make out of it. If what I make out of it is right, this note is definitely about something more important than our game. I have an idea of what it says. I just need a moment to figure out what it actually means. Let me think about it for a moment. When did you say he wrote this?
About 2 or 3 hours ago. Why? It took me that long to get cleared, to get out of the ER myself.
This first word looks like gobbo to me. That's a nickname that your husband gave me when he started playing with us a few years back. I was playing a goblin at the time. Even after that campaign ended and I started playing other characters, the nickname stuck. He said that would be my name until I quit being such a dice goblin. I told him, I guess I'm stuck with it then.
Let me see. And what's a dice goblin?
A dice goblin is somebody who collects way more dice than they need.
This last part looks like Cliff Fine Tiara. Dudes, that's it. I'm out of here. I've got to find them.
Hold your horses for a minute. Who's them? And I don't ever recall us having a quest to find a princess's crown. Lastly, when did he start calling you Merle?
I agree both with your sense of urgency, Cliff, and your desire to understand exactly what is happening here before hastening away, Wilton. Firstly, Clifford, please explain to Wilton that this tiara is more princess than crown.
Yeah, man. Tiara is Randy's sister. Tia is just a nickname. Speaking of which, how did you know my name was Clifford? Nobody's called me that in years.
Your little Clifford? I used to work with old Ben Driver, pulled green chain for him one summer, and I ran a gas station up in the boonies for him the next. Back before they closed all the logging roads around here.
Dude, Ben's my granddad. Clifford is what my dad goes by. Technically, I'm a junior, and that gas station that you were talking about is on the land where Randy and Tia were camping.
Well, what are we waiting for? Let's get a move on. Take a wrong turn in that country, and you could be lost for good. Why, there's a couple of states that would fit in that roadless zone up there. I used to know that area like the back of my hand. I'm coming with you.
Before you go, I've got a gift for you, Willie. They call it a shot of luck. It comes with a nice, shiny new set of dice. I think you could use a shot of luck before heading up into that wilderness. And I have to ask you, Cliff, where were you 3 hours ago?
Bottoms up. Ack. Yuck. Oh, man. Whose muck boots did they scrape this off the bottom of? I appreciate the thought, Merle, but maybe next time, skip the gimmick. Erp. Oh, man. I ain't feeling too good. I think I'm gonna erp.
With that, Willie grabbed his stomach, doubled over, and dropped to the floor.
Willie, are you all right?
Dude, what's going on?
That was when Merle chimed in.
Let's give him a little privacy. While he's doing that, he'll be fine. Just give him a few moments. I don't have time for subtlety. Cliff, when did you decide to come to this library today?
Like I told you earlier, dude, I woke up and saw that Randy hadn't called me, and he didn't pick up when I called him. So I gave everybody back their keys and headed down the mountain. So, maybe an hour ago.
Yeah, 2 to 3 hours ago, this woman's husband, a dedicated scientist, wrote a note including your name and asked her to deliver it here. Magic is returning to this world in a big way. Earth is approaching an area where the veils between realities are thinner than they've been in a couple of millennia. The Mandela effect was an early warning. Expect a lot more changes than the spelling on a cereal box. Creatures from myth and legend are going to begin walking the streets. Godlike beings, aliens, and metas will be crossing over. Your laws of physics will be relegated to loosely followed guidelines. You can look at me like I'm crazy, but I assure you that I have already encountered some. Speaking of nicknames, Merle is one of mine. On my homeworld of Avalon, I went by Merilinzius. I worked with others from advanced worlds using the last part of my name, Zeus. Later, I changed it to Merlin. The first time I met Wilton, I went by Mr. Merrill, his junior high custodian. That was when I taught him how to play this game.
Do you really expect us to believe that you are something like 2,000 years old?
Oh, of course not. I was 8,500 when I left my world to journey to Earth. I've been here nearly 3,500. So I'm around 12,000 now.
Merle waves his hand over his necklace and then turns into a perfect replica of Willie. Then he pours out the dice from the container and picks up the 20-sided die. He changes the colours a couple of times before settling on a transparent green colour. quick come hither gesture of his hand, and Willie's cane flies to him. A tap of the die, and the cane transforms into a staff. The pair can't help but notice that even though there is now a large 20-sided die atop the staff, Merle, or rather Merlin, still drops a d20 onto the table with the rest of the dice.
Give this to Willie when he wakes up. Oh, these as well.
Merlin removes the necklace and transforms into an 8-foot-tall hulking elf-like figure wearing a toga.
Tell Willie that I have left all that I have in this world to him. Speaking of which, that paper might make a good excuse for you to call for a welfare check at my cabin. They will find my dead body there. I wish that I could have given Willie something more reliable, but most forms of magic wait for the door to open so they can make a big entrance. Chaos magic seeps in through the cracks. Right now, I've got to get home. Not to mention you've got a little girl to find. The powers that be don't often hand out quests so clearly. So I don't think it's a coincidence that the two of you are here. Willie is a good man, but perhaps too good. He takes everything at face value. Like Arthur, he fails to look below the surface. He'll need those around him with some strength, an eagle eye, and a healthy dose of cynicism. I leave this world in his hands, and I leave him in yours. Consider yourselves the start of his round table. Oh, would you please tell him to let his nosy neighbour in on his little secret? Willie, trying to hide things from her is like trying to hide the scent of a skunk from a hound dog. Marge's family has been in the newspaper business since Idaho was a territory.
Merlin makes a few hand gestures and draws some symbols in the air. A bunch of golden glowing runes appear before him, forming a portal. With a nod at the awestruck pair, Merlin steps through the portal. A few moments pass in stunned silence before grunting and groaning noises remind them of Willie. They turn to where he had fallen behind the table. The clothing and the voice both indicate that the shriveled creature rising up is indeed Wilton O'Cleary.
What was in that? I'm feeling a little green round the gills.
Dude, you're looking a little green around the everything.